Hello everyone, this is Plankera, welcome to my universe. Today, we're going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. So yesterday I finished the upper left turn, I think it's looking pretty good. Looking at it this morning and I'm still pretty happy with it. So now it's time to start refining the upper right, and oh boy is there a lot of stuff to do still. Alright, so I'm going to start doing some basic things like hiding the shadows, and I think I'll keep all the hair on for the moment. While I was looking at that, I just noticed that I wasn't really happy with how this strand was coming out on the right head turn, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that before I jump into everything else. Just have to remember which strand that is. Which strand is that? I'll just click through. There it is. Okay. I just want him to stick out a little bit more. Was looking perhaps a little bit squished over there. But now I think it's doing a little better. Just want to straighten this little part on the tip out a little bit. Get all that looking right. Meanwhile, it is almost the 23rd. The 23rd being the deadline for Path to Nowhere's anniversary art contest. So I'm about done with the picture, and I should have it finished in plenty of time. I plan to upload it Thursday, probably, unless I finish it sooner. I actually might finish it sooner, but we shall see. I'm looking forward to showing it off. Might take me a couple more days to get the time-lapse up, but the picture itself will be done. It'll be nice to have that done. Then I can kind of have a bit of break for a while until I jump into Christmas present illustrations. I probably do need a bit of time to chill out after all that. It's like between that and Inktober, I've been doing a lot of drawing lately. Not that I'm complaining. Alright. So now I'm happy with that strand, so I want to start refining the front bang here. Oh, let's see. Overall, it's actually not moving that bad. Okay, well that looks a little bit silly. I was looking at the top turn here, so you can see that this part is like this, and then it just kind of goes up and up and up as I bring it over there. Alright, so we'll start there. For the most part, I feel like the bang isn't looking too bad here, so with any luck, I won't have too much to do. But for now, let's just bring this back on down. I suppose today is just going to be largely a big picture day. Oh, it's still actually going up quite a lot. I kind of want to get some of the most important areas, at least kind of in the general gist of what I'm hoping to make it look like. So for here, that's going to be, the various places in the bangs, and then probably the tunnel here, maybe even over here. Just some of the biggest stuff. And then I'll worry about, everything else. Get some of the big stuff in, then make the bang look nice, and All the usual stuff that I do. But I do think that this front bang is one of the most important areas of her hair. It's there, front and center, goes right into her eyes. So, definitely want to take the time to make it all look good. Soon. Alright, already doing a lot better. A lot of this all is still very much off. But, I'm not going for details yet. Just want to get some of these spots in. This is the equivalent of doing a sketch when you draw, so everything's going to be pretty messy. I'm okay with that. At least for the time being. So here, I'm still mostly just looking at this curve. That's the one that I'm just trying to get very roughly into place for the time being. Because I think that there and how it connects over to the hair on this side will end up defining many, many things. That and the hair just right underneath here. Okay, that's probably fine until I decide it's time to really clean things up. Can see that I want the tips of her bangs a little bit lower. Probably more than just the tips. I felt like where it transitions from kind of purple into white was also a bit off, so go ahead and just lower all that down. Just lining it up with the top turn for the time being. Yeah, well, is looking pretty okay. I say okay because, I mean, I definitely do not have it all right, but that's alright, one step at a time here. Still just kind of derping around, exploring, and getting some of these messy ideas down and out of my head. I've said in the past that when it came to drawing, as opposed to rigging, finding a way to quickly get the ideas out of my head and onto the canvas was very, very important. And then just taking as many steps as I could to very quickly get to a point where I didn't hate looking at the picture, and everything was starting to look fairly okay. And getting to that point as quickly as possible was super important to me actually being able to draw. Because, man, it can be really hard to work on a picture when you just do not like looking at it. Everything just looks bad, and looking at it just makes me feel sad, and all that stuff. It can be pretty hard to progress in that state. That's why my ultimate solution was I needed to get everything to the point where I thought everything was looking good. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. Kind of the same idea. So everything will be crunchy for a bit, but at the very least I can start getting the big shapes in, getting the big ideas in, and from there I will be able to actually figure out where everything should live. So I'll probably be jumping around quite a lot here. Just going wherever my whimsy takes me. Just looking at a part and deciding which areas I think look worse than others, and that good stuff. Like I said before, the areas that I think contribute the most to a lot of the 3D effect are probably these little areas where you can kind of see underneath her hair. So that's why I've been kind of paying special attention to a lot of that. I've been feeling a bit nasally today. Something in my nose is slightly clogged, but not so much that I can actually blow it out. It's like stuck in the back of my throat. Very unfortunate. Alright. Smoothing some of that out. I think I like the way this strand is kind of draping over everything now. I'm not too focused on the bottom of all these strands yet, but, you know, while I'm here, let's just slide this guy on over a little bit. There we go. I think up at the top, this little strand that just goes behind everything. Let's show a little bit more of this. Just up at the top here. Something like that. Felt like it was getting a little bit squished in there. Alright, now let's see if I can make some of this just a little bit rounder here. It's like this is an upper head turn, so I can get away with making things like extra rounded. It's great. I like being able to make things extra round. It makes me happy. This look good with the up and down. Yeah, I mean, there's still a bunch of shenanigans I still have to kind of figure out, but it's alright. I do feel like things are getting somewhere. Yeah, I guess what I have here, probably a bit too much. I pulled things over pretty far. So let's bring it back here. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, it's a bit better. Still wouldn't call it good, but that's okay. We'll get there. I'm not worried about good for the time being. I'm just kind of derping around and getting some ideas for where I want to put things. Kind of focusing on a lot of the big shapes and how they all connect and what makes some of these big shapes and stuff look good, and like the head is turning. But you can also see that as I continue to make progress, my brush keeps getting smaller and smaller. Because as I figure out the giant shapes, it means that I can spend some time figuring out how some of the smaller ones fit together. Alright, I think that's good for a first pass into this area. Obviously still have a lot of little details that need to be worked on, but I think that's kind of where things are going to go. So now I guess we'll deal with the low-hanging fruit over on this side. Oh my. Yeah, I think that's... I was looking at this little strand here. The one that's defined on the side of her hair there. And I think This little strand might be coming out a little bit too much. Gotta come back in and make them a little bit straighter here. I guess I really, really wanted that strand to be round when I was working on it the first time. But it's actually not that round. It's pretty flat. I suppose it is true that sometimes seeing what's going on in the corners and how things aren't quite matching up does make it easier for me to spot some errors in my left and right turns as well. Or even just, any of the cardinal direction turns. Things get just a little bit off. So we'll try lining that area up a little bit better. Never realized that this area was so far off, though. Once again, I continue to be surprised that I actually went in and redid the left and right turn, because I still keep finding little problems here and there. It's okay, rigging is hard. So we'll let Shalom shake her head for a little bit and see if I notice anything else I want to touch up. A little bit, yeah. I feel like this highlight was a little bit too high up. Now I guess that's a little bit easier to see now that I have the kind of shadow area right above it in a little bit better of a spot. Okay, yeah, that's better. And indeed, things do not look quite so bad up on this bang now that I fixed that. Okay. So now I can just go back to getting some of the big pictures in. I guess I'll have to move this individually. I felt like the dark area here was shrinking a little bit. So I just want to open that up. I'll worry about all the exact angles and whatnot a little bit later. There we go. So now just want to line that up a little bit more with the down. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. The backside I don't actually feel like is looking too bad, just obvious stuff I have to touch up aside. Where is it? There we are. Kinda wanna send this part back a little bit. Let things be nice and round in this area. Yeah, something like that. So now this back area, I remember seeing some things that I didn't like so much there. Let's see here. Let's see here. It's actually tricky, because I'm not quite sure why it looks wrong to me. But oh boy, does it look wrong. I'll start with what I think is at least part of what's off. And then I guess like the apex of the top is a little bit just not quite in the right spot. And then maybe I need to bring down this part here just very slightly in order to make the top look a little bit more pointy, I guess. That little top area really does look very pointy. It's like, look at that. It's just a little tiny hair mountain. Little hair mountain just casually hanging out there. Oh my goodness, she has so much hair. It really is incredible. The fact that I can just casually discuss her having a hair mountain. Yeah, this might be something I need to fix up on the other side too, but I think this is looking a bit better for the corner. Alright, let's see, is there anything else I want to touch up over here? No. So we'll go ahead and untangle this mess. I don't even know what's going on here. Something certainly happened. But it's okay, we'll bring it back in. Rein it on in. Okay, that's good enough for now. Okay, so I think that's, like, the worst of it figured out. So now I think I can go in and start poking at the bangs. Let's get those bangs looking nice. Just the very, very tips. Gonna start there. Same place I start pretty much every time. It's almost nostalgic, even though it was... It couldn't have been that long ago since I started the upper left turn. At least I hope it didn't. I know that I spend quite a lot of time perfecting each one of these. But I haven't actually been tracking how long it's been taking me to do each of these things. That's why anytime somebody asks me for an estimate on how long it's going to take, I'm just like, I don't know. It'll be done when it's done. That's about how I feel about it. I guess I'm lining it up with the top first. That's fine. A lot of the time I do it with the left or right first, but, you know, why not? We can do the top today. I don't think there's any reason that I have to worry about it. It'll give me some good insight onto where all of these little highlights and shadows should be going, and their relative roundness. And it's like I have the eyes as a fairly solid anchor point, so I can just look at the eyes and see how everything is moving relative to them. It makes it nice and easy to just know where I need to be moving these things. Gently pull those down since they were just a little bit too low. But again, very gently. It's like I'm super zoomed in, so if I pull too hard, it's like things are just gonna go flying all over the place. That just won't be good at all. Won't be good at all. Okay, but I do feel like I'm getting somewhere here. The bangs in the front here always, like, take me the longest. Just because they're one of the most detailed strands, and it's right front and center. So I like to spend some time to get all of the details just right. Like, the sides always go a little bit faster because, I mean, there's a little bit less to them in general, but for the most part, it is strictly because I just don't insist that they be quite as perfect. But this I definitely want to make as good as I can make it. But everything I got here. I think I've said before that when I make models like this, I always put tons and tons of effort into getting the face just right, because the face is where most people are going to be looking. When it comes to the body, I kind of let myself slack off a little bit. So I'm hoping that the body will go a little bit faster than the head is. Alright, now that I feel like I have large parts of it all matching up with the upward turn, I'm double checking the right turn as well. Making sure that all of these little tips are just going to the right place. Right now I don't think they quite are. I think we just gotta slide this little one just over here, very, very slightly. Very slightly. Keep all the movement nice and gentle. I have to remind myself of this constantly. Because otherwise I'll move it a little bit too much, or my hand will get a little bit too excited and just start doing its own thing. Because it's like the body likes to move. It likes to move, it likes to do its own thing. And even when I want to keep things soft and gentle, sometimes my hand is just like, oh, we're moving a thing. Let's go. Let's move it all the way to the other side of the room. It'll be great. And it's not great. It's not great at all. Hands are silly. And I suppose not too surprising considering what their purpose is. They move things around, so of course they want things to move. Okay. Let's get in there. This is one area where, maybe I will turn on the shadows for just a little bit, just so I can see what's going on down there a little bit better. Because without them, the bangs do kind of just start blending in with the skin. So this might help me out just a little bit, help me see what I'm doing. And I can turn off the shadows afterward. I kind of hope they don't squirm too much, because otherwise it's gonna make it kind of hard to focus. Because it's like, I'm trying to look at one thing and all I can see is just this other area squirming all over the place. And I get very distracted. It's so unfortunate. But it's kind of hard. It's like you see all this stuff moving and your eyes want to go look at it, because that's just how human eyes work. That's what our brain tells us to do. And so it gets very, very distracting when I just see this little thing just squirming up a storm out of the corner of my eye. Or even, you know, right in the middle of my vision occasionally. But for this, it's not too bad. Not at all. This is very manageable. Very manageable indeed. Okay. But so far so good here. It's like what I'm doing here is just a lot of little silly details, but they're all coming together, I think. Just gotta do it all one strand at a time. That's just how it all works. And man, is this front bang detailed. I mean, look at all these triangles. Look at them all. It's crazy. Just like infinite triangles here. So many triangles here. Alright, I think that's pretty good. I was just looking at, you know, there's a line on the outside here, and then there's this little shadow right here. I was trying to line all of that up. And now I think I'm ready to move on to the next strand, which is, you know, this little guy right here. This one seems like it's already mostly correct, so I don't think I have that much more to do with it. Just kind of want to send all those little tips over to the side a little bit here. Something like that. Okay, now the shadows are actually being a little bit distracting, so I'll turn them off for a second. The tips on this one are a little bit darker. So that helps too. You can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Let me see. Is what I'm... Because I see something that looks like squirming, but I can't tell if it's the hair or something showing underneath the hair. Okay, looks like it is the hair itself. It's just this super light little tip right here. And I could kind of almost see the ghost of a squirm. Probably the best way I can describe it. Something just wasn't looking quite right, but it was really hard to see. But indeed, it looks like this little tip was not actually in the right place. It's doing a little bit better, but we can do even better than that. It's alright. We'll just keep working it into place until it's where it needs to be. Okay, there we go. I think that's looking pretty good. Do I see any more ghostly squirming? Maybe. You know what? We're gonna go into floating head mode here. Or floating face. Just so I can see that little strand better. Okay, good. Good. That tip actually was where I wanted it to be. We'll stick in floating face mode for a little while just because it'll be easier for me to see where everything is. That was kind of tripping me up there. Okay, now we can start getting some of these right. I mean, looks like this poor little strand's having some trouble. Look at that. Looks very silly. But it's okay. That's why I'm doing this. That's ultimately why I'm doing this. Just gotta get all of this lined up perfectly. It's okay if things look a little bit silly now. It won't look silly forever, I believe. I've managed to get all the other turns looking pretty good, so I can get this one looking good too. So my husband and I have been playing more Factorio in the morning. Been having a pretty good time. We're finally making agricultural science on Gleba. And I gotta say, that planet's a trip. For those that don't play Factorio, it's a game all about putting together a factory where you automate stuff. And, Gleba's gimmick is that the ingredients that you use to make stuff is... It'll spoil after it's sitting around for a while. And basically what that means is that, you can't just make giant stacks of everything on that planet. Because it's like it'll go bad if you try. And then you'll just have belts full of this spoiled product, basically. If you do it wrong. And, man. Just having to come up with the proper contingencies to filter out the spoiled products and making sure that you're using as many of those products as possible before they spoil and all that good stuff. It's pretty tricky. It requires a lot more of a balancing act than the rest of the factory. Because most of the things that you make in the rest of your factory don't spoil. Like if you just put a big pile of steel in a box, it's like when you go look at it later, it'll still just be a big pile of steel and you can still build stuff with it. But not the case with some of the, like, fruit-based products on Gleba. But it looks like we finally kind of have it all set up. So now we're just, we've already sent a few stacks of agricultural science back to the main base, and we've started researching stuff, and now we're just setting up some things to make it a little bit more self-sufficient. Particularly in things like automated defenses and stuff like that. But it's been an interesting challenge, just figuring out ratios a little bit better and how to actually use all of these things before they just go bad. You can't really just have long lines of belts leading places either. They kind of have to circle around. So that this way you can be filtering the spoiled stuff off of it, and the belts just don't get clogged up with all this bad stuff that you weren't able to use. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty wild. Been having a good time figuring that all out. Yeah, within the next few days, we'll probably be heading over to another planet. The last one of the 3 you unlock early of Fulgora. Very curious to see what that one's gimmick is going to be like. It sounds like a pretty terrifying little planet. Just covered in lightning storms. So I imagine lightning is how you're going to be getting most of your power. Okay, so I think I have the worst of the problems kind of figured out. But there's still some angles here that are not lining up quite right here. Well, let's see. Let's see what's going on here. So the ones that I'm looking at are basically, if I go back to the front, the one kind of coming down here that turns out into this, and the one coming down here that comes out into this. I'm not worried about over here just yet. I'm still kind of focused on in the middle. I do feel like I've gotten the leftmost one looking pretty good though. So I'm just going to take a look at the middle and figure out what's not working quite right there. So far, I think part of it is that this actually comes out a little bit here. So the areas that I look at are just the shadows and the highlights. I was noticing that I was changing the shape of this highlight compared to how it was over here. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. Yeah, now it's moving a little bit better. Most excellent. Huh, I never actually noticed that this little strand over here was growing quite a bit too. We'll definitely have to fix that up. But first I want to fix these little tips of the bangs here. Because they still don't quite know what's going on. There's still quite a bit of squirming there. They're clearly not totally sold on this new location that I've put them in yet. It's alright. We'll find the best spots I possibly can. And they will just be so pleased with their new locations that there will just be no squirming at all. They'll be too busy being comfy and having hot chocolate or something. I guess speaking of comfy, when a game in one of my guilty pleasure series is coming out on December 5th. I'm kind of looking forward to that. Infinity Nikki. It's like, in general, I'm not super interested in Genshin Impact clones, but, you know, this is a dress-up game, so it's, like, totally different, right? It's just kind of borrowing Genshin's formula for how it's doing some stuff. Well, yes, I've always had kind of a soft spot for dress-up games like that. And Nikki series is definitely the ones that do it the best that I've seen, at least in recent memory. So I'm really looking forward to being able to play that. Honestly, a game where I can just kind of chill out and turn my brain off for a little bit sounds pretty good right about now. I've been using my brain a lot lately. My brain says it's time for a nice break. And I think I'll be happy to indulge it. Because, man, I gotta say that, trying to wrangle the composition for my illustration for Path to Nowhere's anniversary contest was, it was pretty wild. And even then, I'm still not quite sure if I'm quite done wrangling it. I'm not used to doing extremely chaotic compositions like this. It's been an adventure. It really has. But it's like I just don't think that a simple, relatively tame composition suits Zero very much. So I wanted to do something fairly chaotic. But that did take me pretty far out of my comfort zone there. Overall, I do like keeping things pretty simple. Even when I'm doing, you know, fairly complex backgrounds and stuff, I still keep the overall composition and what's happening and the amount of lights and all that good stuff. I do keep it fairly simple. It's also why I greatly enjoy that black and white style that I did for Inktober. That's like about as simple as you can get. And I do enjoy styles like that. I have to say, being able to just embrace pure chaos for this one has been pretty fun. It's just different from what I normally do, so had a lot of new ideas I could explore and new ways I can just derp around in the drawing. Had a lot of little experiments to do, and I think I'll be able to take a lot from this one. Especially with the pose. It's like if you haven't seen the work in progress that I have posted in the community tab, you can go look at it now if you want to know what I'm talking about, but I've been having so much fun experimenting with extreme perspectives like this. And I do think I got the perspective pretty much exactly as I wanted it, so that felt pretty good. How did I never notice this when I was working on all this the first time? This got so freaking poofy. There we go. That's a bit better. There we go. I think all the shapes of the bangs in this area are kind of coming together. I no longer feel like they're just being like super stretched out or anything. I do kind of feel like this little guy here is moving a little bit to the left. So we'll just kind of bring him back this way a little bit. As always, being very, very particular about the areas right next to her eyes. So I'm not sure if this is the kind of thing that'll be super noticeable to most people, but it's noticeable to me. I see it. So I do want to try to get it as well as I can. Alright, just gonna stretch this guy out down here a little bit. Something like that. Again, just lots of little teeny tiny things here. But I do feel like with every movement I make, it does get a little bit closer to what I'm going for. Yeah, there we go. That's looking pretty good. Now I think I can start worrying about this highlight and the shadow right next to it. And start getting the shape of this bang. The part of it just right there. The way I want it to be. So let's see, how exactly does that highlight need to move here? Use what I did here as kind of my template. And I had this guy curving in this direction on the right turn. So I'll do that here too. Just have a nice little gentle curve there. And I don't trust the tip of this bang from this side, so I'm going to be mostly getting it from here in the middle. And if it doesn't line up with the right, I will take that as a sign that I just need to correct the right. I felt like that highlight was sliding downward a bit, so I just wanted to shift all the vertices up. But yeah, that already looks much better. It's not surprising, with as much as this strand is also shifting downward, it's a sign that something just got pulled down in a way that wasn't quite right. Okay, but let's see, I think I actually have the tip. Looking mostly pretty good there. I guess it's just a little bit too short. Let me see. Is this longer or shorter? It does look like they kind of goes up a little bit shorter than here. Which is what I have. Am I sure that they're not lining up right? Or do I just have that kind of thicker tip in the middle too short? No, I think it's good. I think that's good. Yeah, I think it's all good. Let me just adjust where the gap is here. And adjust the little curl on the end here. Make it a nice, happy little curl. Little curls like that are just so cute. I like being able to do stuff like that with hair. One of those small things, but it's very enjoyable. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Now let's just finish getting it shaped right. The location is good. Oh, that's good. It just needs to curl out this way a little bit more. Because that's just what it does in the original. It kind of just curls out like that. Yeah, that's much better. Alright, now let's take a look at this strand coming down here. This kind of needs to be a little bit shorter. This little guy got all stretched out. That's alright, we'll bring it all back together. Being stretched out like that just looks kind of painful in my opinion. So we gotta bring him back. I don't want that poor little hair strand to just be all stretched out. To bring like all the vertices in this area up, they were all just shifting downward. Probably from when I pulled things down. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Yeah, I feel like we have some nice friendly bang tips after all that. But they're all just moving a good direction. Alright, let's turn her head back on. See how it's all looking on the head itself. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Let her bob her head around a bit. Okay. So I've at least kind of gotten the big things figured out. And we got some nice bang tips. And I'll just keep going up the bang and kind of this area where I can start going through her roots tomorrow. But that is where I will end for today. So thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, or game design, or any creative pursuit that you can think of, feel free to message or add me on the social media platform of your choice. I'll take a look, maybe leave some comments. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.